Becoming a Navy chaplain has been absolutely phenomenal. Well, it took my wife saying yes. I wouldn't have done it otherwise, either in the reserves or active duty.
The decision for me and the conversations that arose from that decision really centered around our eldest daughter. And coupled with the fact that we'd actually moved a lot already in our lives as seminarian and going into the ministry.
Going from pastor to chaplain is once again another one of those steps very similar to going to the seminary in the first place, where you have to decide, is this for us? And every time it's a step out in faith. Chaplaincy had been on my mind for quite some time because my three brothers all joined the Marine Corps. I was the one boy in the family that didn't join the military.
Seminary was always his plan. It was always Jaime's plan. He was in the pre-seminary program, or I guess the theological studies program at Concordia Irvine. And he knew always, I guess, from coming into Irvine that he was going to be a pastor. And so I knew it when we started dating, but I remember telling him specifically at one point that I never imagined being a pastor's wife. And I think that was kind of a bold statement when we were dating, that it was a little presumptuous of me that I just knew we were gonna get married. But yeah, he knew, and I found out, and I had to get on board with it.
So when I graduated Concordia Seminary in St. Louis, 2011, I served a congregation in California for 5 years. I actually worked at the seminary again as an admissions officer for almost 3 years, and then went back into the parish in the St. Louis area for, again, another almost 3 years. I did the reserves, Navy Reserves, which is kind of putting a toe in the water to see what Navy chaplaincy would be like.
I remember stating to my husband at that point that I would be fine with him being a reserve chaplain, but it was a hard no for me to go active duty.
As I was graduating chaplaincy school, I heard Chaplain Todd preach this sermon. He said, "Nowhere is safe." I think he was in Illinois, and he has like 4 daughters, and he's out there with his family, and like, they're safe, everything is good. And then there was a flood, and he realized nowhere is safe. Nothing is guaranteed anywhere. And that drove him from reserves to active duty, and I thought, oh man, oh no, I want to go active duty now. So I go home and I talked to my wife. I said, "Kelly, I think I want to be an active duty chaplain." She said, "No, no."
For those seminary students or those pastors that are considering military chaplaincy, Navy chaplaincy, I get the fact that there is some hesitancy. There are some things that you're just not sure about. I mean, how many of us have ever gone to sea, have ever been on a ship? What's that like? What's it like to be away from your family that length of time? And how will the family do? Will they be okay? Those are all very valid questions.
Some months later, Chaplain Todd came out to the seminary, and I was there, and he preached this sermon.
Or maybe you'll go to the Red Sea on deck of a destroyer, praying with sailors as they shoot down missiles.
And it resonated once again. I thought, oh no, I'm in trouble. I think I want to go active duty again. And I go home to my wife and I say, "Kelly, I think I want to go active duty." And she said, "You know what? Yes, I think we're built for this."
We did pray a lot about it. We prayed together, and I think much more so individually for him and for me. We have a daughter who has disabilities. I really needed to have reassurance for the sake of my daughter. So the Navy has something called the Exceptional Family Member Program. You sign your child up for this program, and you're assigned a liaison who then works with you to find the best school situation wherever you may be stationed, or to make sure that you're only assigned in places where you can get medical care for your child if they have great medical needs.
People who I've been training, you know, leading through church history and through scripture and with sermons and the divine sacrament way out on the ocean, but we've got jets being launched off of a catapult right over our heads. It's an incredible thing that I can actually be a part of that, and to know that the Lord is with us, supporting and providing and doing all of these things that only He can do. Without Him, I would have failed a long time ago. So it's been quite the journey. And I know it's not me, I know it's Christ and His work and His working through me.
There's a tremendous value to having chaplains embarked. I don't think there's been a day in the United States Navy that we haven't had chaplains as part of the operational front. Heck, if and obviously Chaplain Nava could correct me on this, but I believe at a certain point in the history of the United States Navy, the Chaplain Corps was responsible for all of education, not just religious ministries.
Being on a carrier with 5,000 people for 8.5 months, and the best access you have to home is very slow internet, or you go to the library and sign up for a phone slot, and then you can use the phone for 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes to call your parents, your loved ones, whoever.
For the service member, the idea of chaplain is the presence of God. And so when we say ministry of presence, what we're really talking about is a reminder of the divine. When we show up, it reminds the service members, oh, there's something bigger than me here. There's somebody bigger than me. God is here.
So many people who you're supporting and ministering to in so many different ways. People who will never set foot on a church parking lot, let alone inside the building. And so you go out and you live and eat and breathe all the same air. You know, you're with the people. We call it deck plating in the Navy. When we deck plate, we go out to the different spaces and we visit everybody, see how they're doing, making sure everything's okay. And when they see you present, you know, this ministry of presence, they know, okay, he actually cares about me.
Serving as a chaplain is actually very similar to serving as a parish pastor. We all do the same things, you know, preparing for worship, pastoral care, pastoral counseling, sometimes advising leaders. It's a different mix in the military. And so as you're serving on a ship, there is a lot of pastoral care, a lot of pastoral counseling. You're out and about and you're walking around. Yeah, it's been a leap of faith. Yeah, you jump in there and you go, boy, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm trusting that God has something in mind here. But as we take that leap of faith and as we give our families into God's hands, He's doing some amazing things.
The chaplain is a great part of the just carrier air wing in general, because his whole job, his whole mission is just taking care of the people, looking after the people. So we have all this expensive equipment, right? You've got $70 million jet behind us here, but none of this works itself, right? Like the jets, the equipment, the weapons, whatever. None of this stuff just works by itself. You need people to operate it, you need people to maintain it, you need people to just do all the jobs that go into just everything, running the organization. And so none of that can happen without the people. So your people really are your biggest asset. I believe that. I think most people believe that. However expensive the equipment is, and investing in chaplains is just investing in your people.
The need for chaplains is so great. This is a really important walk of the ministry, and it's really important to have a supportive wife and family. I feel like I've got lots of reassurance to give to pastors' wives who might be facing this situation as well. For most families, especially who don't have a military background, it's very foreign. But that being said, this life gives a lot of benefits. And then my other piece of reassurance is that if you're a pastor's wife or a seminarian's wife, you already know that you can do hard things. We can do those hard things.
Missouri Synod chaplains have some of the best training. Missouri Synod pastors have some of the best training in probably the world. When we go out and serve, people commanding officers and folks love Missouri Synod chaplains. They do. I love this job, and the impact a phenomenal chaplain has on the sailors around them, it's really God being phenomenal, but that impact, it can be eternal.